So that's our lesson number 6. Now, the first thing, let us go back and look at the aims or the main goals of supply chain management as it is. First of all, we should look at the main aims or the main goals of supply chain management as it is. So, first of all, when you look at supply chain, not even supply chain management, but just supply chain, you find that the main purpose or the primary purpose of supply chain is to fulfill demand, drive customer value, and of course, facilitating financial success. Now, whose financial success? Of whoever is participating or is actively engaged in supply chain activities. So, the main aim or the primary purpose of having a supply chain is to make sure that at least you fulfill demand, because there's always a demand at the end of the chain. So, what you do is to make sure that at least you fulfill that demand, regardless of wherever you are, whichever position you are in the supply chain. But the idea is to fulfill demand on the other side. Apart from fulfilling the demand, the other thing here is to improve or to facilitate financial successes. Now, whose financial successes? Of whoever is getting himself or herself engaged in the supply chain. So, you are one of those members that are in the supply chain. Then someone is asking you, why are you here? It's very important. Chifanye mabanga zinazisi. Chiwembele tunakucholinga jana, chimakuyuna kuti muchite fulfill kana mukwanilise zolinga za amina kusowa zinthu, which is demand, right? To fulfill demand. Komanso pena, at least ndikwanilise zokusowa zanu, which is probably financial success. So that is it. So, but now, for this whole thing to be efficient and effective, we have always been saying that one thing that is supposed to be there is to make sure that you satisfy the customer. So, for the efficiency of the supply chain and everything, one important thing is customer satisfaction, because once the customer is satisfied, definitely he is going to come again or she's going to come again. So, customer satisfaction comes about if you are efficient in whatever you are delivering. There's of course probably faster delivery, and of course there is an accelerated cash flow. Once these things are in place, then we say the supply chain is efficient. Now, we get on that one. Now, we are saying supply chain bayo katika yona ndinkani mbona kuti kupasana kwazi zimezwa kusono tumapilo kwake wina waka akapese chimina amachifuna. That is demand. So we have fulfilled demand. Okay, fine. Now we are saying we are adding now management at the end of the word. We're saying supply chain, then we are saying supply chain management. Now, when we are saying supply chain management, this is now the process in which you are now monitoring the whole processes are in the supply chain. You are monitoring all the processes in the supply chain to make sure that at least they are effective and they are efficient. So by doing that monitoring and putting monitoring systems in place, then we say that is management and we are managing the situation. Which situation, which process? That is supply chain processes. Now, supply chain includes every item based on activity needed for all purposes, from sourcing raw materials to reaching finished goods to customers. Okay, fine, that is okay. But now, when customers place an order for an item, it must be delivered as per their desire. Of course, that is it. When you demand something, when you ask for something, you always need it according to how you want it and when you need it. Now, with many companies competing for the same set of consumers or customers, it is critical to rising to their expectations. This is where supply chain management plays a significant role. What are we talking about here? Now that there are a lot of companies on the market, probably providing similar services, providing same kinds of goods, of course, to the same set of customers or consumers, or else to the same market. So for you to stand out is not that always easy because there is competition together, right? So since there is a competition, you ask yourself, okay, now how do I stand out so that at least I get more customers or I retain the customers that I have? Somebody should not snatch these customers from me. Aina sangibere makastoma kana sangrande makastoma. Maso mwine grande makastoma antwena. What do I do? Now, this is where supply chain management comes into question now. Or this is how supply chain management becomes so important because you want to compete with others and you want to stand out and image probably on top of everybody. So to understand what supply chain management is, you must look at each and every component in detail. So let us look at the components or the elements of supply chain management. When we look at supply chain functions, we have a lot of them. And of course, I know you can name them. We have what we call production, we know what we call logistics, we have what this and that. Those are some functions in the supply chain. But now here we are saying, let us talk about the components of supply chain management. Now that we've said management involves monitoring or whatever processes are there to make sure that they're efficient and effective. That's what we are saying. But now, that thing of monitoring whatsoever, it has its components. These are the components that we are here to see. Now, component number one is planning. Component number one is planning. Now, we all know in everything that we do, without proper planning, the chances of success are always narrow and minimal. That's why they say, if you fail to plan, it's like you are planning to fail. That's what they say. So normally in whatever you are doing, you have to put up a plan. Say, okay, from this step, I'm going to go to that step. Yeah, then from there, I'm going to go to that step, etc., etc. Otherwise, failure which you end up losing track and you go astray. You cannot achieve anything. Even if you probably if you can achieve, but you cannot achieve the same way you could have achieved had it been that you had proper planning. So, companies, when they are planning their supply chain management, they always plan at multiple stages. What are those stages? First of all, a company must plan what it wants to produce and sell. So you plan what you want to produce, I want to sell. So it's necessary, again at this step, to plan sources for raw materials, machinery, space and technology. Tajita plani, kuna kuti ife utaganiza kuna kuti muna mali, tizivanga peanut butter, tizigulitsa. It is also necessary to think about where to get the raw materials, and of course the machinery, and the space, and of course the technology that you need to employ in that your factory. Now, on top of that, companies must also analyze the market for such items and whether it will earn them enough profits to justify forming a company. You are planning. Guys, if you're going to now, this bank peanut butter. Okay, now the machine getting the and how much does the machine cost? The space, technology, and all those things. Where do we get raw materials? As many as now you also have to analyze the market. Okay, the market. Peanut butter, we want to introduce this one on the market. This bag of profit, we are going to sustain this business. Who are our competitors there on the market? Mind you, we are on the planning stage. So you plan at various stages. You plan at various stages as we are seeing here. So, apart from this one, after planning, which is part of the supply chain management, we are saying without planning, you cannot succeed. Now, all what we want is the supply chain that we are embarking on should be successful. So, for it to be successful, it need to be well planned. So, we have done this one. The second thing here is information. The second element here, or the second, what do you call it? Component is information. Now, this information is another critical component of supply chains. Why are we saying this? Without proper flow of information, a supply chain cannot work efficiently and, of course, correctly. So, there is always various kinds of information that players in the supply chain always need to have. One important kind of this information is information regarding demand. Information regarding demand. So, the information about market demand must pass to the operations team so that they can plan for raw materials. So here is an organization, and we have an operations team that is there for production and everything. Now, first of all, you people, supply chain managers, they must have information regarding the demand out there, saying, okay, how many people are looking for this kind of a product on the market? If we are to produce this kind of a product on the market, how many customers are we expecting to have? Now, once you ascertain this one, this information must proceed or must flow to the operations guys or to the operations team. Welcome. So that these people, once they have this kind of information, they'll be in a better position to prepare raw materials enough for the products that are needed to meet the demand. So there should always be information flow, at least from the outside, that is from the market, and once it gets into the organization, between and amongst departments within the organization, the information must always flow. So it means without information flow or without the proper flow of information, the chances are high that everything will always move towards its own direction and will not be together. End result, production and delivery will be affected. So, data about raw material availability must flow to those in the purchasing department. It will help them to ensure an adequate supply to complete production as per the requirement. We are saying the organization itself must have access to information that is from outside, how the market is performing there, so they will determine demand. At the same time, the availability of raw materials, the information regarding the availability of raw materials must also trickle in. The organization should always have that information so that those responsible for procurement should be in a better position to plan properly, to make sure that they source the raw materials so as to meet the production demands and, of course, the market demands. Because if the procurement guys do not have this kind of information, one day they wake up surprised. This kind of raw materials, Mama waja, production is in the next 4 hours will be back. By the time at 12, 1 o'clock, the machine will be running. But because they did not have information that they just go there, that one will affect everything, will disrupt the production. Because the operations guys here are by as the guys are coming, they're empty handed, say, no, this is how it will disrupt everything. So, in this case, what we are trying to say here is the flow of information from outside into the organization, and of course from amongst departments within the organization is very critical in as far as the efficiency of supply chain is concerned. So that is part of supply chain management. That's why we're saying information is part of this thing. Now, even those guys responsible for manning warehouses, they must always share the information with the production teams and of course the marketing teams regarding the stock levels in their warehouses. So of course there are a lot of things that we can see here surrounding information flow in an organization as a component of supply chain management. So for those who are just joining us, this is what we are discussing, supply chain management, the components of it. So we are on point number 2, component number 2, that is information flow. Another component of supply chain management is purchasing. Purchasing is another component. Now, how is this one a component of supply chain management? Purchasing is considered to be the primary purpose of supply chain management. Now, purchasing in this case, if you are writing down, you can also write stroke procurement, because normally the things that we purchase in a supply chain are always, if they are not raw materials, but they are goods that are used in the production of something else, probably production of some materials, some products or some services. So all the goods that we buy, in order for those goods to help us in producing something, we say that is procurement, because we are not using them for direct consumption as it is. So procurement in a supply chain is one of those important components. Now, when it comes to supply chain management, this procurement has to be done in such a way that it improves and it adds value to the organization. It improves efficiency. Now, when you're purchasing or when you're procuring whatever materials you want to use, or some assets that will help you, will enable you producing something, those responsible for purchasing must always do these things carefully. Ensure that they manufacture something which is of good quality. So, because production of a better quality product or production of a better quality service will determine the response of your market out there, and of course the sustainability of your market. So for you to be able to do this, at least the materials that are being used must be of course high quality, that will help you to produce the desired quality, of course, as well, so to say. You don't know. Okay, they say, I didn't. Hosa, singabereke mbuzi amaterere. So it means mbuzi is my word. Hosa, just like that. So the thing is, what you put inside in here will also determine what will come out. That's what it means. So the materials that you are using, if they are substandard, the chances of producing substandard materials are also high, unless otherwise. But that's the principle as it is. So at this stage, when you are procuring something in order to produce also something, make sure you're so careful so that at the end of the day, you produce something which will help the market to be more efficient and to be more effective. So on the same, I heard, I don't know how true it is. It was a story, but it was a sad story. If it was true, if it was a joke, I would say it was a bad joke. I heard in Blantyre, there are these women. I'm in a October down. I want to talk about so I heard those women, not all of them, but some of those women they could go out kuchipatala ku central mwene kuja central kuja koma ku Queens chipatala ku Queens komanso even ku central kuti zimachitika zofanana ngati zimene zimachitika kokoso not necessarily kuti azimafika toba kuna abantu zikuzizo zimafika la kukati. So they could go there and amati sima katika siku kuchipatala kuti zimatsala ama kuta damu. So they would go there and collect the remains of the semen. They will bring those ones to their places, to their factories, and wash them properly and pound them. They cool, they take them out and sell. So I heard those stories, of course, multiple times from different people. To the point that I was like, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not a fan of top muscle. I can't remember at any point in Africa but now, how can somebody do this to others? Because they will have wasted and my returns will do. But that is so sad and so evil. So I don't know, that's why I was saying if it was a joke, it's a bad joke. If it really happened, that's so sad. But now, what we are saying here is, you look at that situation, the thing is like, what the raw materials they are using, you can see the quality of such raw materials. You can also determine the outcome. Another bad example also, of course, that one, and Zimbabwe and Pamon mental experience, even right here, it happens. And of course, I'm taking a disclaimer because there must be somebody that you know. The following day, normally right? So normally, after that was because at times I'm fitting my mind. So after I heard those things, I stopped to do that. I can't trust this one. It's either the my whole fund or I proceed. So, and the quality now of that particular sim, I find that it cannot be as same as more people can do for fresh. You see? So anyway, enough of that one. Let us proceed. Supply chain managers need to check raw materials from various sources to ensure that they are of the desired quality. Those persons must also periodically test these materials to ensure that good quality is being maintained continuously. So, a point in question here is supply chain managers, they need to check raw material from various sources. Why do they need to check from various sources? There are always multiple suppliers of materials on the market. So some materials can be of good quality, some cannot. Some materials can be similar to what you are looking for, but probably they are not the same. Others, they are counterfeit or they are fake. So you have to be careful to check materials from various sources so as to get the best. Now, it is not enough to buy suitable quality materials. It is not just enough to buy suitable materials. Okay, maybe this question, I must bring it to you. Look at this situation to say you are a producer of a certain kind of a product. And for you to satisfy your customers, the first thing is you have to produce a high quality product, isn't it? Now, for you to produce a high quality product, you need high quality material. High quality material. That's one thing. The idea here is customer, so customer satisfaction and of course business sustainability. So here are your goals. You want to achieve those goals. So in order to achieve those goals, you're being told to say, okay, one of the things that you need to do is to at least use high quality materials. Because if you use high quality materials, you produce a high quality product. Then you satisfy your customers. But again, there's another goal here, which is business survival. Whose business? Your own business. So we want to complete the equation here. What should be another thing you need to do here? Another factor to consider in order to complete this equation that is here. Think about something. Here we have an equation, and here we have two objectives. One is to make sure that you satisfy the customers, and the other one is your own survival, business survival, or business success. Now, for you to achieve that one, there are two things you are thinking. So one of them is high quality material. What do you think should be the second one? So as we want just to complete this one. Next one. Yeah, say something. Yeah. The supplier who is financially stable. Okay. 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 So cost and supply of materials. So well, okay. What an observation. I even never thought of that one, which is true. Sustainable. Suppliers. Of course, this one is similar to the first one that we saw. We said it is important for you to always source materials from various suppliers, right? Of course, but this one we can look at it also independently. So, okay, you can have one supplier or two suppliers, but at least they need to be reliable and sustainable, so that at least there is constant supply of materials. That one will help you to produce without interruptions. So I take that one. That's fine. What's the other one here? I was looking for another one also. So thanks for adding that one. What else? Sylvester, though you're just joining us, but I know you're going to join the conversation. So we are saying we are in a business situation whereby you as a business business player, you are looking at achieving two goals here, as well as labor goals. Then go here duty customer satisfaction. Then finally, customer has good distribution. Go here finally business so business sustainability, right? So in order to do this, there are some suggestions that you are suggesting. So one suggestion is to use high quality materials, because once you use high quality materials, the result is you're producing something which is also of high quality, so the customers will be satisfied, right? Then another thing, somebody suggested this one, sustainable suppliers, because once you do that, apart from satisfying the customers, you also come out business here without interruptions, according to her. Of course, I've taken that one. So we are saying we need another point. Yes. Determining the cost. Determining the cost. Yeah, say something on that. Determining the cost. Because there is customer for business, and also you as the supplier, you have which is Okay. So tell cost, cost. What exactly are you talking about? We are satisfied Tirani. You to help each other. Okay, kapena na taifa rokoze kai wewe kwenti yako. Cheka data ugamba tusia nyamu tu kwa wewe.
Address the cost for the item should be balancing. The cost of each piece is more, the seller should be.
Okay. So, okay, are you talking about the price of the actual product?
Yes.
The price of the actual product, right? Okay. So, the awauti atafika kalo kuwait that the price to cover price tafika kalo product ataiba anga definitely the get price kwa na kuti hawa wanise kukula. Okay. Chabo. You wanted what something?
I was on the same time because I was trying to say you can check in the price.
Okay.
Because the product of everybody is price.
Okay. So that's the only rules to add on the same. All right, shall we? Without complicating matters here, let us remember where we are coming from. We are talking about the point, point ya purchasing that element moja yani kama component ya supply chain management, isn't it? So tukiangalia purchasing yake iende bwanje kuti tita-achieve goals yathu. So when we are suggesting these goals here, when we are looking at my goals and we are suggesting my measures, I mean, tifuna tita-achieve my goals here, we should consider what we are doing. Here, what we are doing is purchasing. So, in order to reach to this price that we are saying, that this price should be fair, first of all, we have to think about how we are purchasing our stuff. So, we said, one way of ensuring customer satisfaction is to make sure that we use high quality materials. So, that is purchasing. We purchase or we procure high quality materials. Those high quality materials will help us to produce a high quality product and it will satisfy the customers. That's one thing which is corrective. And again, somebody mentioned about sustainable suppliers. That is, when we are procuring here, we have to identify suppliers that we feel like they are sustainable. That's the second thing. So, Ghania price, first of all, it will start with procurement. So, the guys who are procuring, other than just finding sustainable suppliers or high quality materials, this is not enough. But you should also look at the prices of the materials. Are you going to survive on the market? Are you going to sustain your business? Because you can satisfy your customers, but you're not making any profit. What will happen next time you're not going to produce anything? Because you come from Sangha Sadani, come from Sangha Sadani. So, Avama is like procurement or lower or low cost materials, but not substandard materials. So the materials will be of higher quality, but again at least at a lower price. Why? Because if you procure a material which is of a higher price, what will happen? The cost of production will also be affected. Now, once the cost of production is affected, definitely the price at which you charge your product will also be affected. So, a slight rise in your price here can affect the market. We determine how the market is going to respond. We're together. So, the thing is that all of you are producing bread, for example. Others are selling at 1,400. Others 1,350. Others 1,500. And you were selling here. But because of the materials that you used, the materials that you procured and are using were a bit expensive, you find that the cost of production itself is exceeding this selling price, your selling price. Cost of production is exceeding this one. Probably now it has gone up to 1,500 to produce one loaf of bread because of the materials that you used. You have no choice because at the end of the day, you need to make profits. You need to pay your employees. You need to pay for electricity, water, and all those things. Definitely, you have no choice but to adjust the price of your bread and you say, okay, 1,600. or 1,250. That one alone, once the your customers go to the market and find that your grade is now selling at 1,560, they'll say, but still no. My customer are will or that, I mean, that kind of bank is significant enough to affect your business greatly. So to avoid such kind of unnecessary inconveniences, first of all, when it comes to procurement, make sure that the materials that you're procuring, you have to be careful, apart from the quality or whether the suppliers are sustainable or whatsoever. But again, the cost of those materials should be something that will help you to sustain your business in the long run. Do you know what I'm saying? So, now on the sustainability here, again, it is always advisable that the supply chain managers should always cultivate good relationships with suppliers at the other end, so that at least there is constant supply, there should not be any interruption. A business, if muniti ubalewa bwino, ndi anzano kwa no business the other side, there's always ana mabasa matipi, usikuzani ya karundo kumulile to just next week ukangati akwante. Ipanga next week karundo somewhere. So is this zomote naso onovaza, I think by the next 3 days it has data. So if anything, did kumulile. Why? Because there is good relationship between you guys. At least you are able to give each other tips. Commercial, at least, but because of the good relations you people have, they always be supplying you constantly. So that one will always enhance what we call supply chain efficiency, which is part of supply chain management. So that was another component. Then we have this other component, which is inventory maintenance. Inventory maintenance as one of those components of supply chain management. Now, what is this one? Optimum inventory maintenance is another goal of supply chain management. The optimum inventory maintenance is another goal of supply chain management. Now, when you're saying optimum maintenance or optimum jagut, in other words, it means balance the maintenance of something. Balance the maintenance of something. Something should not be too much and something should not be too low. That's why they say optimum temperature for jagut. That is the temperature that is suitable for a particular situation. The temperature should not be too high, the temperature should not be too low. So in this case, in an organization like this one, you have your own storage facilities, you have your warehouses and all. At least the stock levels in those warehouses should always be balanced. You should not have too much stocks and you should not have too low. I mean, the stocks should not be too low. Now, what happens? There can be a situation whereby the supply chain managers, they overestimate demand out there. They overestimate demand. Now, because of that overestimation, the production guys or the operation guys, they overproduced. They produced 1,000 boxes or 1,000 units or whatever you guys produce. Yet the demand there is only 500 or 600. It means you have an excess of 600. Now, that excess of 600, probably there can be the products that will not get spoiled within a short time. Probably they can stay longer, maybe a few months or maybe even 1 year or 2 years. They will still be there. They cannot get spoiled. Fine and good. But how about the warehousing space they are consuming? That is, you are still wasting resources maintaining those ones because it's still more. They are sitting in there in the warehouse. You have to maintain the warehouse because it's not empty. There are things being stored in there. You have to inspect the goods, the products, and to see that are they in good condition or not. So that one alone, by keeping those excess stocks in warehouses, that is a wastage of resources, and of course, it affects the entire supply chain or the function that you do in the supply chain. That is overproduction or overstocking. Now, there can be another situation whereby you overlooked the supply. The demand on the market. There is so much demand, but you guys didn't have proper forecast. Instead of knowing that there is probably a demand of 1,000 pieces or whatever we do here, you said, I think maybe 200 or 300 is enough. Now the guys produce 200 or 300. You find that once you do that, within a day or two, you have nothing in stock. Now people are still placing the orders from outside. You have nothing to offer them here. That affects the flow of whatever is happening in the supply chain. And your function in the supply chain will affect the functions of others in the chain. Why? Because it's always, we say, a chain of reactions. A producer, a distributor, a wholesaler, retailer, etc. So if there are serious interruptions from your end here, definitely those interruptions will also affect the other players and so on and so forth. So excess inventory will not only add to the debt investment, but also take up valuable space in warehouses, as we have mentioned here. Another thing, shortage of stocks can result in breaking production and unfulfilled orders. That's what I'm saying. So, because of this, companies may end up losing customers. I just had a really bad. We place my orders, so you lose customers in the long run. So, to avoid this, what do we do? Officers in charge of inventory must keep themselves constantly updated about what materials are available in their stores. They must know the stock position of raw materials, finished goods, and other items like packing materials. Those responsible for the inventory, what we call inventory management. Of course, these people, they report to the say supply chain managers in their respective organizations. But these people below here, responsible for warehousing and stocks, must always be updated. They should always know the levels of their stocks in their warehouses and probably the levels of raw materials, whether they are running low. They have to request from the procurement guys to procure more, so that at least production should not always be interrupted. Now, on top of this one, there is actual production as another element or another component of supply chain. So production is the actual turning of those materials into a product. So look at this. We are not only looking at this as the functions in the supply chain, but now we are looking at how these functions can be decorated and to make sure that their output is being maximized. Or how can we maximize the output of these functions? That's why they are now called the components of supply chain management in quote. So we cannot just look at the function, but now how can this function be enhanced so as to maximize its output? So, for example, in the production as a function, we can look at it as something which is just to do with turning the raw material into a finished product. You have a machine here, and then you take the raw materials, put into that machine. The machine is processing whatever it is processing and producing something there. We can look at it just like that, that is production. But now, when we are looking at it as a component of management or supply chain management, we find that there are some other things added to it, or some other things on top of just producing something, processing something, off you go. At least there should be a monitoring mechanism in the production process to make sure that at least there is uniformity, the high standards of that particular product are being maintained, and of course there is no interruption in the production itself. So I've mentioned a few things there. Production is there, but at least there should not be interruption. So it means there should be a system to monitor that at least this production is efficient, because it's simple to interrupt. The interruption can come about due to a number of factors. Of course, you are able to receive the raw materials. The raw materials are readily available with you there. But now the machine is having faults and is having constant breakdowns. That one will affect the productivity of whatever are doing there. Power failure. The machines probably they are powered by electricity or they are powered by whatever sources of energy. You have to make sure that at least there is always backup supply of power. In case of power outage, at least you have some other sources in place so that the machine doesn't stop. So while production is there, but to make sure that at least you are enhancing its output, its performance. So that's the management we're talking about. That's why the issue of monitoring comes into question. The production itself as a process has to be monitored. Okay, are they maintained now and then? If they always, the machinery that you use needs periodic maintenance, have to make sure that that one is done. The issue of power, of course, mentioned. Then there's an issue to do with the standards, the quality standards of whatever you are producing. At least there should always be what we call uniformity. Now, this uniformity can also be achieved through having a system, what we call quality assurance. I think you have heard this term many times, quality assurance, whereby you always have quality assurance managers. They are there to make sure that they physically and of course technologically check the products that are being produced and make sure that at least there is uniformity. So that is production as a component of supply chain management team. All right. Another thing which is also a component is the location. The location where you are putting up your operations should be convenient enough. Should always be convenient. So for maximum output of the entire supply chain that is within your operations. The location where you are putting up your facility. In this case, let's assume we're talking about a factory plant. Should always, not every time, but at least be closer to where the raw materials are sourced. That can also help you. Or else, at least where the raw, you have access to the raw material routes, or else you have access to the markets. So it's either you locate your operations closer to a marketplace, fine and good, so that at least once you produce whatever you produce, the market is just close by. That's one thing. Or else you cannot locate your operations closer to the market itself, but at least whether you have easy access. So in this case, this easy access can be a road network, a railway line, a port, an airport, and all those other facilities. That at least will enable you to easily access the market. So the location in this case is very important. So it's either you want to get to the market or else you want to get raw materials. Because these two are the most critical ones. So at least if you have at least access to both or else you have access to one, better for you. It cannot make sense to say your market is in Mulanje. That's why you feel like you'll be selling your whatever you are selling, you are producing, right? And the raw materials are available in Mangochi. Now you locate your factory in Jinji. If we are to look at these two factors, somebody can conclude to say, I think this guy is not thinking properly. I think he has goofed. They will use that word. This guy has goofed. But now the guy, he said, no, I know what I'm doing. I haven't goofed. I'll put up my factory here in Jinji. So I'll be getting raw materials in Mangochi and I'll be selling in Mulanje. But never mind, my factory will be here in Jinji. What do you think can be some of the reasons that are making this guy so much adamant to say, no, I'll stay here? Just suggesting. I've mentioned two factors, the market and the nearness to the raw materials. But the guy now has chosen not to get to stay closer to where the raw materials are, has chosen not to stay closer to where the market is. They're choosing to stay elsewhere. So, what do you think can be some of the reasons this guy is behaving in this way? There's no proper reason. Okay, by the way, this guy is not mad. See, he has this money, probably 20, 50 million. Kwaja, see, I sang with when massive time in your and you want to change do you think you guys don't have to reach let's think scientifically, philosophically? Sylvester, you're thinking about something. Think deep.
My heart works
That's fine. Sorry? Workforce, eh? Okay. Kuna suru kumula ni kusa karbu ya ntus. O alu mambo. Experience matters. Experience matters, eh? Okay. So this one is mentioning an issue to do with labor force, isn't it? Okay. So an issue to do with labor force, and that's very true. That's why I brought it deliberately. I want you guys to think. There are going to be a number of factors that will always determine where to locate your facility. So apart from nearness to the market, apart from nearness to the raw materials, the availability of skilled labor force is also a factor. So both of you are correct. Kumangoji, there are people there, but probably they are not skilled. So they cannot manage to do the things that you want, right? So availability of what we call skilled labor force. But now, not only skilled labor force, there is also another factor related to labor itself, right? Not apart from skills, but another factor also related to labor. For example, Apple. These guys who are producing iPhones and other things. Most of their operations, though at times they outsource from some other manufacturers, but their individual production units are spread across Asia, South Asia. They have operations, South Asia and Far East. Others, they have their operations in South Korea. They have their operations in Malaysia. They have the operations in India, they have the operations in Vietnam, they have the operations in China, they have the operations in Japan, right? In those countries, in the Far East. But now, Apple is an American company. And in the US, there are millions and millions of people there, right? Of which, there's also unemployment in the US. Why is it that these guys, instead of putting up their factories in the US, they are putting up their factories in Asia? Why? And of course, when it comes to training, I'm sure in the US we have numerous universities, they are technical colleges. So the issue of saying skilled labor, I don't think it can apply in this case. Of course it can, but not to a great extent. Why? Because I don't think the US doesn't have a skilled labor force. So why is it that these people, they still choose to go and put up their plants elsewhere, overseas, which is very far from their base? Why? Think again this time around. Maya, give us a point. Thank you. As it is. Cheap labor or affordable labor force. As simple as it is. So when you are looking at labor force as a factor to consider, cheap labor or affordable labor force. Yeah, so these are some of the factors that can, that's a third factor, the third one, that can always determine, the location of a factory. or maybe a facility, nearness to raw materials, the market, and of course availability of skilled and affordable labor force. On the labor force, I'm just adding this one. It is always in the interest of every business person, apart from having affordable or cheap labor, you always want to have a labor force that is less militant. When you are saying less militant, chichiwa china in a street language, chinganeguti antokira nchito opanda ziwindi osakala amagana ofunda kuji. Right? So there are some other areas whereby the labor force is always very militant. Where there are some other areas, the labor force is less militant. Now you find that kufika kumalo kina kuche mwale bado nchito, then you are telling them to say, I know what? Of course, drama is basana ba 30 news so bad. But 30 ba jeni kuzabwela, kuzabwela excuse. And people point my glass. Those are takers. People can understand about that. In what we call, like in South Africa, we have what we call industrial actions, whereby they always embark on strikes, violent strikes. They kill people, they do whatever they can, up until whatever they want is achieved. So that kind of labor force, that kind of behavior, we call it militancy. So the labor force that behaves in that kind of behavior is, we call it a militant labor force. Then you have an opposite of a labor force that is so white. You go there, you tell them, I want the money to Simanjira, now I want to have Alisma, I will have you. Muna wiki kuta, ena muna mimba kwa sababu ya umeni. Sababu kwa laso tunataka kwenda msongo tunafanya kwa confirm that that's good. So it's like they are less militant. So when you are locating your operations, you also consider those things. And of course, there are a number of reasons that will always determine the location. Another thing is government policies. Government policies can also determine where you can locate your business to. In some countries that are, or they have a federal system. You know what it means by federal system, right? You know what it means to say we have a federal system. Okay, like a country like Malawi, we have what we call unitary system, whereby Mozambique is central government. In this case, the rule of so when we central government, that will be president and everybody. Those ones are Moses and Sabines when it's the matters of Washington, and just way. So it's like the power is always at the center, and the center decides what should be done, and everybody must follow. That's the unitary system. Whereby, in a federal kind of a system, they say we have the federal government and we have state or regional governments. So in this case, for example, in Malawi here, if we are to go federal, of course, I've heard others, they have been saying this for some time. Yeah, you need a federation in Malawi, whatever. What it means is, let's say now we have 4 political regions. We have southern region here, we have eastern region, we have central region, then we have northern region. So if we are to adopt a federation, let's say northern region is kind of how to or in the chigawo cha Bukodo. If you know, muna opanzaga aperi. Yet malamuwa azikulosa Malawi akukana zoti opanzaga asaperi chimwerezi. Kapena why if chigawo cha Tujino tabangalamona kuti kumwa mwanje mwandu ali sasa kamangiro. Yet eastern region kumbali ya mambo kuzobawo mene kusibezo kulima. Mwina mblanja ya kusibezo kulima. So is a region ili yose imata kupanga malamuwa akaendisiwe kazi. At the end of the day, they are still answerable to the central government, which is based in over here, for example. And the president is still on top. But in the north, they have a state governor. And the governor who the president was about it, central government. Also, it was mostly kind of plant again. Alison, president or many governor. So the issue in question here is those state government. They can have Malamu Oceana state. So it can be possible to say the laws governing a certain kind of an industry in northern region, for example, are a bit more flexible unlike the laws that are applicable in some region. Yet we are within the country. Somebody can say, factory yangu mtiende, I think ineo ndikalani ndikaichita to import. So that when we job because malamulo ake are pretty flexible. Tizikapanga zinthu of course tizigulisa zikonse. Apa ino malamulo undovuta ine factory yanga ndikaika kumanje. Kana chigawo chakumwera because malamulo amenewo ndofewera kumanje kusiyana. Regarding in as far as the industry is concerned. Or else, let me cross the borders and locate my factory or my facility in Zambia or Mozambique. Because the laws there are a bit more flexible. So, location can be determined by a number of factors. We'll get there. Again, geopolitics. Geopolitics, that is international politics. Geopolitics, international politics can also affect, can determine how you are going to locate your facility. Even local politics, not just geopolitics, but local politics can also affect this whole thing. So you are in diplomatic relations with a certain country, let's say South Africa, and you have your factories there, your businesses there. Now, for one reason or the other, you have run into a conflict with South Africa. Bandari Masepana was in Zimene Zijazo is what we call geopolitics. That is what international politics. Now there's a friction between you. Kena point you know it's like we are no longer in relations between Malawi and South Africa. They Kazepeona to go many. You'll be forced because now the environment you cannot get it and hostile. You move your facilities from South Africa out of South Africa and you look elsewhere. Is there okay, put it on mobile within the Zambia. Zambia. So you locate there, you start operating there. Geopolitics. Internal politics, for example, local politics. Here I also give you an example. Some years back in the year 2012-13, we have this company, of course you know it in Malawi. They say Muli Group of Companies, MBL, is owned by Malawian, of course. Now, before 2012, the guy was doing well. Why? Because he was well connected to the regime that was there. Now, after the government changed in 2012, the new government that came in was not in good books with the guy. So, the guy reached a point of relocating. Of course, already he had branches in Mozambique, Dubai, India, UK, and all that. Already up to now, he's still having offices in there. But he reached a point of he wanted to transfer his headquarters from here to Brazil, right? So from Jibumuna there, he wanted to relocate to Brazil. Why? Because the environment here was hostile politically, according to him. Thank in 2014, the government changed again, and his favorite government came back to power. So it went. So your location will determine how successful you are going to be in as far as the supply chain is concerned. So we were looking at location at we were looking at location as another component of supply chain management. Now we're proceeding to transportation. Transportation is another component also. And now in transportation, if we look at it just as a function, it's simple as it is. Transportation is the physical movement of goods from here to here. Whether we are using maritime transportation, we are using air transportation, whatever. It's just the physical movement of whatever you're moving from here to the other. But in this context, that's not how we're looking at it. We're looking at how can you enhance the efficiency of transportation in this case. Because by enhancing this efficiency of transportation, you're contributing towards an efficient supply chain, which is now supply chain management. So, to do this, you always have to look at the transportation modes that will enable the delivery of whatever you are delivering more efficient in terms of timings, the conditions of the products that you are delivering, and at the same time, they should be cost efficient, so that at least you survive or you sustain your business. So when you are now figuring out how best you can push your stuff elsewhere towards the market, you think about those two things, customer satisfaction and your own sustainability. So, Katonda akafike in good condition. Nthawi yabwino. Komanso, you should be able to get something. Osana kuti angokutitsidwa paja, koma inuyo spiritual should tell your business ikadina itera panjira.
So,
Yes, go ahead.
before it was
Or location, yeah, sure.
so you look at the all factors that now have the factors to look at.
Come again on that one. Come again.
Do you look at the all factors or just select some of the factors to look at in determining the location?
All right, okay. Normally, we have this what we call cost-benefit analysis, right? So, with cost-benefit analysis, there are some other risks that you take, and you say, okay, I can still take this risk. It doesn't matter. You look at the bigger picture. So, when you are looking at those factors, you look at the prominent factors, the factors that are more prominent. You weigh them. So, my factors here, the factors in impact taken, you overlook them. So, you look at the factors that are probably more prominent. Because it is not possible now you can take all those factors into consideration in society. Because there are some areas we, let's say, raw materials. Now, looking at the abundance of raw materials that side, but of course, the labor force is a bit more expensive. You have no choice, but still more to put up a factory there. You want to take advantage of the raw materials because after you weigh and you did what we call cost-benefit analysis, you say that okay, anyway, actually, desire libira more kwere labo yonji, fan kwere chiro mama tuyako mama, or tizi libira more chiro labo yonji, but the benefits of it because of mucho libira kosa ziti. So anyway, this is a little bit. Let's put up our factory here. So that is it. Yeah. So to transportation. Now transportation must always be sustainable. You cost efficient and all those things. And another element that also needs to be looked into is what we call goods return or return logistics. Of course, we know what it means by return logistics. But this one now, in our supply chain, you have to think about it as something which should be enhanced and which should be controlled at all costs and be taken care of. Now, when we were discussing this previously, we said when goods are being returned from where they were delivered back into your organization, there are always some costs that are associated with it. And those costs are borne by the supplier in this case. Those costs mostly are borne by the supplier. Because if you look at the situation, mostly you find that it is always the supplier who is at fault. Meaning to say, Mwina anapanga mistake yenake, anadeliver karungu, uchuruga, usianandi ajomwana be. Or else he delivered some products that had defects. So he had to bear the cost. This is what we see. So it was always advisable that we minimize these returns as much as possible, so as to minimize those costs also. Now, suppose Castell, Malawi, or Southern Borders, they always deliver their drinks elsewhere. They don't have to deliver some via those places they always do. After some time, the Castell guys will always go there again and collect those crates and empty bottles, bring them back into their factory to be refilled, and again they send again and again. Should we call this one as a part of return logistics? What is this? It's a good one. Okay, fine. Whether it's good or it's bad, fine. But now we are saying, is this part of reverse logistics? It is not. It is not. Okay, we are saying here's the scenario. It is. Okay. We are saying the scenario is here's your factory, your customer are here. So you have your customers in the data. You always take your truck there, you offload the drinks. After 2-3 days or after a week, you will again go there and collect the empty crates and the bottles, of course, empty bottles, back into your factory here for a refill. So I'm saying, is this reverse logistics? So somebody says yes, and what's your opinion? That's recycling. Okay, somebody says that's recycling. Okay. It's reverse logistics. Okay.
Also, in this logistics, in accounting, there are goods from the imports. Then we have to buy. Command yes, that's the use. I don't know where the goods
it's like you manufacturer, then you have used the things. Yeah? And then you're sending back, let's say that's sending back you are giving the supplier when you're going to purchase it. Let's say my packaging materials that
okay, for example, let me give you this example. Let me give you this example. You're order supply. I bring you a carton. I was already got to way social for the plan. I like you are some South Korea. Is that the message?
yes, expired. No,
You are some of the biggest that you put over the weekdays. We got nowhere. Some of them, that's the case. No matter somebody joined the sun.
What is it? And that's the way I'm thinking. And these guys are thinking this.
No, that's easy.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for brainstorming the way you've done. Just a minute. Okay, let's look at it in this way. Normally, when you produce something, there is this, okay, you always think of how you can take your product to the market, right? How you're going to sell your product. And kodi tikamaka kulisa, ndisi nyamuna kwa kwilima, kamuna ndisi sesa aganya, kamuna ndisi banganya, to make sure that the ndabenda kulisa kusika kunja ndabwerawo. The moment ndabita kusika ndibwera, I will say kuti ndaimaliza sale budget. Now, okay, ndabanga ndama zingati. Ali ndabanga 50,000. Okay. Ndinalowesa ndama zingati. Ndinalowesa 20,000 ndi ndakula materials. 1,000 ndiwaja ndalipira magesi, ichi ndabanga chonchi. Ili nale panga transport yubitira kusika. Komanso kwera. You understand it? So, all those ones can be part of what we call sales expenses. So, ukijokera tukulu mbili mapanga kabuti, ndutuluka naye kupita naye kusika. Ndokagulisa ndikukwera. Kusika kuti, kucheka kuti mna mwake pamalo paja ena akamakuyimikitsana na kuti pano kuti muyaleso kuzanuzi perekani 1000 kwacha you paid that 1000 kwacha etc. tima cost timene toto amene tima expenses timene toto tinoitenka we call them sales expenses, right? So you plan for them. So Eunice, look here. Chisazo ndibeka wabaje ngakuzona kuti mwapanga zinthu zanu kandi mandasa aja mwapeka mamaliza ma resources amene analowa tindamwe tinalowa kupanga mandasa amene is what we call cost of production with the produce bateka now abavano mumuntu matsikana pita kusika kwatani kwagulitsi akupita kusika kuja kakera abira mini basi kakera kapasa kawasema abira kuja akaya anaonda kuna kaya lapati kwagulitsa ena mlipisa yeye ndipita nandi kwa jaba angoto sense wamaliza mandasa ajata akwera somini basi akwera kunyumba ndichi empty kuja empty basin whatever drama sales on get ababa is what we call sales expenses together. So you plan for these sales expenses. Therefore, nsikana mini huyu akwanga izizi timtenge kuti is a sales department ukastelo. So akastelo aja abagula production akange abagula mujirole ichi akagulise amene wawa chanenge kuti sales department wa ndi kasikana kaja aenda whatever fuel amene akubena kusomu bila kusika kunjako kakugulisa okasika mpaka ngati ndi bantu aja is part of sales expenses. Akamaliza mwene kujako akutenga so magreti aja akwera naso kunono is part of sales expenses. So these are not considered as returns, therefore not part of reverse logistics. You understand it? But now zikozo kuteka kuna kuti zinthu zija zili ma defects mwene kujako muna magreti angapo ina kuti sizili bwino bwera zatengeza zinthu zanuzi munalipa sochulukira kapena kwa zinthu zanu zizolongeka tietengani. Those are what we call the returns. So those returns they have cost yake pamambaka. So those are part of reverse logistics. Now, what we are saying here is to ensure that there is always effectiveness and efficiency. We have to make sure that at least the rate of returns must always be reduced to a minimum. So to ensure that the rates of returns are reduced to a minimum, one thing here is to always pay attention to details when it comes to order processing and everything, so that whatever you are processing should be exactly as what the customer had ordered. Even in the production, when we are producing things, at least you have to minimize the defects as much as possible, so that chikapita chintu chinja chipitiretu asakati mwezi kuti chintu chinchonongeka. Komanso ndi transportation, you have to make sure that really the vehicle imene kuti transport isituzi ikafixe in good condition, because in the factory it can be produced without defects, but now it can get damaged along the way as you are taking the stuff to the market. The guy there, your customer will say, no, it's in the wrong way with an answer. So you have to make sure that there's efficiency in transportation. In production, there's always monitoring and what we call quality assurance is always there. Order processing, there's proper management in there to avoid unnecessary errors and so on and so forth. So those are some of the what we call the components. Now, having seen those components, when we are looking at supply chain as management, that is, as a process, with the components that we've seen, now we want to embark on that process called management, supply chain management. We want to embark on that. What did we do? If it is for us to be efficient, we need to manage all the processes properly. Komanso, tawuzoza ma elements amene ali minimum, and we've been told to say one of the elements, one is planning, komanso procurement, transportation and all those elements design so that we are effective and efficient in whatever we are doing. Okay? Now, there are now steps. So there are always steps in supply chain management. You have to manage the demand. So we have demand management, the steps in supply chain management, demand management. Now, in demand management, what is this? This demand management, first of all, it consists of three segments or three parts. Now, the three parts of demand management, one is demand planning, merchandise planning, and of course, trade promotion planning. Now, in other ways, demand planning is the process of forecasting demand to make sure products can be reliably delivered. So, when we did that plan, you know, if it's not still producing, this is what we said earlier. So, but again, we have to focus on the market. Now, okay, now marketing dependent. How much or how many people are ready to get our product or to consume our product? The age of product is just never identify your planning. Okay, we want to introduce this one into the market. At what quantity? How is the demand going to respond? So, first of all, you plan that. Now, effective demand planning can improve the accuracy of revenue forecast, align inventory levels with peaks and through demand, and enhance profitability for a particular product. If you have accurate demand planning, you did what we call market planning, market research, and you have ascertained to say, okay, according to many it seems every week we'll be able to sell, let's say, 1,000 units of this product. You are so sure. By doing that, it will be easier for you to also forecast the revenue and, of course, probably the profits. You'll be able to forecast and plan properly. Why? Because at least you did a market research and at least you have a picture, at least a clear picture on what the market is like. And once you are so sure of how the market is going to respond to your product, you can now have the focus on the revenue. So I think for what week it is kind of about. Those going to pass it to 1,000 as the plug on what we. So that 1,000 as the plug on what we definitely stand drama of fun that is easy. Sabata. So that is it. Demand planning. That is demand planning. Still under demand management as the first step in supply chain management. Now we say we have merchandise planning. So what is this? This one is a systematic approach to planning, buying and selling merchandise to maximize the returns on the investment, ROI, while simultaneously making merchandise available at all places. Now, when you're saying merchandise planning, we are talking about you are a buyer and a seller. So you plan, okay, you are not a producer in this case. You are not a producer in this case, but now you are a buyer and a seller. Probably you are a wholesaler. We can maybe categorize you in that way. So you plan to say, okay, how much goods, how much merchandise should I procure, and of course, and sell there. That one, you're not producing anything. Depending on the demand also, that is there. Because if demand is so it's like you are being illogical. So you meet the market demand. First of all, you have to ascertain how much demand is there, then you order the stuff and go. Thirdly, in demand management itself, we have what we call trade promotion planning. Trade promotion planning. So this is a marketing technique to increase demand for products in retail stores based on special pricing, display fixtures, demonstrations, value added bonuses, no obligation gifts, and so on and so forth. You want to boost your customer base and probably increase your market share or retain the customers so that you maintain the market share. We are saying you want to boost the customer base, right? Now, if you are boosting the customer base, meaning to say you want to bring in more customers. If you do that, definitely you are increasing your market share. Commercial, you can do some other things to retain the customers that are already there. As a Kutawi, the customers should always remain. Why are you doing that? You're doing that to make sure that you maintain the market share. That market share in a 10%. If you are able to retain the customers and maintain them as a Kutawi, market share will remain the same. So there are two things: retaining the customers so as to maintain the market share, and the second thing, to boost the customer base so as to increase the market share. In order for you to do this, you can also embark on promotional activities. So at times, one of the approaches or one of the ways through which you can promote your product or your brand is at least periodically reducing the prices of the products to say, okay, I'm going to increase a promotional price. Let's say I'm going to get more. I know Black Friday and go. Definitely, people will go there. I'm not going to job. I mean, already existing customers again. I mean, it means not you are retaining them, you are maintaining them. They were not actually your customers, but they have just been attracted by the promotional prices that are now there. They will rush in. The chances are, out of 10 new customers, previously they were not your customers. They go there, I do promotion, let's go there and see what is happening. Out of those 10, the chances are 2, 3, or 4 will remain. They will fall in love with your product and everything. If you demand more, so out of these 10 people, probably 60 are going to spend because we have promotion next time. The chances are 4 or another because of your customers. So promotion can help you. They are part of this other objective, what that we are saying of expanding customer base. Because now our customer only 15, the other one are 18. Your market share and brand will. So that one is also what we call another thing within demand planning. So trade promotions help drive short-term consumer demand for products normally sold in retail environments. Step C in supply chain management. Second step is yes.
On demand planning, you say under demand planning.
Yeah.
And there are 3 points.
There is demand planning, merchandise planning, and trade promotion.
Demand planning is also
Okay. This is under demand management. Yeah, this is demand management. Yeah. So it's together that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then now, on the same, thanks for that reminder. Let me also do something here. Demand planning. Okay, so secondly is supply planning. So on supply planning, that one, just keep. All right, let's stop here, and we meet at what time? 10:10. Okay. This is almost 10 o'clock. Okay, let's meet at 10:15.